The Caribbean, a paradise of tropical sea, humid jungle, mighty rivers, and unexplored caves. A region of great contrasts, overflowing with all kinds of life, ruled by the powerful influence of the Caribbean Sea. The Caribbean is one of the most diverse regions in the world and boasts all types of ecosystems, from tropical forests to freshwater cenotes, from colorful coral reefs to mysterious mangroves. The power of the Caribbean reaches far beyond its beaches into the jungles. Moisture, often in the form of rain, soaks areas covering thousands of kilometers. The heat and humidity of the Caribbean gives rise to a concert that begins at sunset and lasts through the night. A concert of love songs produced by a choir of soloists. Every species of frog and toad has its own song, all in search of a mate. So the jungle surrounding the Caribbean is converted into a gigantic auditorium. The calls of little blue jean frogs, also known as strawberry poison dart frogs, reverberate through the undergrowth. Costa Rican variable harlequin toads or clown frogs prowl around puddles. Red-eyed tree frogs sing from their hideouts in the vegetation. And toads, with practicality in mind, sing their songs from the water. Little by little, couplings are made and consummated. And the result of so much serenading is often hidden under leaves. Here, the humidity is so high that many species of frogs can deposit their eggs high in the jungle, far from potential aquatic predators. The eggs mature for a few days on the protecting foliage. But some snakes are aware of this evolutionary tactic and have themselves specialized in finding tree frog spawn. They're long and slender and can easily climb and move between the branches of trees and bushes. The amphibian's eggs are utterly defenseless, and so the tadpoles must develop at full speed, In just a few days, they will fall as fully formed but miniature individuals into the water below. But some will not even survive the first challenge of their lives. Egg-eating snakes are astute and efficient. Their tongue picks up the scent of the spawn, and they invariably devour a good number of nutritious eggs. Even so, the snakes rarely eat all the eggs. Some are left, so that the cycle of generations is not broken. The Caribbean is a giant jigsaw puzzle in which the pieces, each one with its own range of natural wealth, fit together to perfection. The delicate, doleful relationship between snakes and frogs' offspring may be played out right next to a colony of frigate birds. Where snakes prowl among the branches, magnificent frigate birds flutter over the waves of the sea. Their angular bodies and narrow, slicing wings allow them to play on the sea breezes like agile kites. Frigate birds can be seen as the crows of the sea, opportunists who take advantage of anything edible floating on the water. But since their plumage is not waterproof, like that of seagulls or ducks, they never land on the water and must perform spectacular aerial stunts in order to feed. They may live from and over the sea, but if they fell into it, they would drown. Frigate birds are only found in regions of tropical seas. The warm caress of the Caribbean atmosphere is very hospitable for their bustling colonies. Males inflate their enormous, eye-catching gular throat sacs like party balloons about to burst. In females, these throat sacs produce a hypnotizing effect, and they're drawn to the display. But in males, they provoke an attack of irresistible envy that ends in a pitched battle. These fights are very tough on those involved. They run the risk of damaging their best asset, their large red display sac. If this were to happen, they would lose all chances of competing for a mate. The vast sea is implacable to the conflicts of the frigates. The sheer size of this American sea means it is home to a variety of different ecosystems. The Caribbean is one of the largest salt seas in the world. Covering almost 3 million square kilometers, a surface area similar to that of Argentina, it comprises islands, coastlines, and huge areas of salt water. The true heart of the region is the Caribbean Sea, with its warm, crystal-clear waters. The Caribbean is refuge to some of the best preserved coral reefs in the world. The corals extend from the waters of Mexico to Venezuela, and an unusual variety of life forms can be found in them. Measuring more than 1,000 kilometers in length, the Great Caribbean Coral Reef is the second largest on the planet. A few meters below the surface throngs a fascinating world full of unique life forms. This is where everything starts. In the tropical waters of this constantly changing sea, animals seem to form gardens of infinite shape and color. Some of these flower-like animals sway like stout seaweed. Others resemble huge inert containers. And others have the appearance of delicate flowers. That hide at the slightest danger. Many strange beings use this extraordinary animal garden to hide in. And crabs, filtering tons of waste in their surprising way, help keep the waters crystalline. Just a few meters away, the Caribbean caresses the beach, exerting its immense power over jungles and mangroves. This is an amphibious territory where terrestrial and marine worlds meet. The legendary feared jaguar is no stranger to this meeting place. The big cat hides in the undergrowth near the beach, surveying the scene. It's waiting for night, when it will come down to the shore in search of victims. In the Caribbean, everything is connected. The light of the moon makes these mysterious connections seem even more remarkable. Caribbean beaches are very busy frontiers. Terrestrial crabs, the ambassadors of crustaceans. The crabs emerge from the forest and head to the beach to deposit millions of eggs under the cover of darkness. The females hide the eggs under their bodies and must urgently get rid of them. The rising night tide is the exact moment the crabs need to take advantage of to spawn in a hurry. In just a few moments, each female releases hundreds of thousands of eggs to the rhythm of the waves. While the crabs spawn at full speed, another ancient marine being appears from the waves. Turtles take a different approach from the crabs. Sea turtles emerge from the Caribbean slowly, but as fast as they are capable of, because right now they are vulnerable. For a few months, sea turtles will come out of the sea every night to play their part in the circle of life. On dry land, they are somewhat clumsy, can't move at high speed. It's for this reason they use the darkness as protection. They cautiously find a suitable place in the sand to dig a deep hole and deposit their precious cargo of eggs. It takes each pregnant turtle about 2 hours to come onto land, make her nest, lay and cover her eggs before returning to the safety of the sea. And during those 2 hours, all their lives are in mortal danger. For jaguars, the turtles are an invaluable and easily hunted source of food. For this young jaguar, turtle meat is a luxury that allows it to gain independence from its family without going hungry. At this time of year, food is guaranteed for a few months. A turtle will provide sustenance for several days. And in addition to the female turtle's flesh, the eggs she carries inside her are a nutrient-filled supplement. This young jaguar will gain much strength during the spawning season, preparing it for the difficulty of hunting more agile and elusive prey within the jungle. Fortunately for the turtles, the jaguar will only kill a fraction of the females, and some will even have time to lay their eggs. A couple of months later, the baby turtles hatch. They emerge from the sand in a night similar to that in which they were deposited and hurriedly swim down the beach towards the water, hoping to beat dawn and the perils that daylight brings. They must crawl as fast as they can towards the protection of their true home, the warm Caribbean Sea. Dawn in the Caribbean. There's no trace of the little turtles, but from the nearby branches, toucans make their presence felt. Mating pairs of toucans greet the new day. The Caribbean is calm. The day breaks clear. Storms and hurricanes seem to be a distant memory. So it's a good time to sunbathe and warm one's body. Green iguanas climb to the tops of the trees to sun themselves. The reptiles take advantage of the first of the day's rays, which are the most pleasant and beneficial. In the forest clearings below, black spiny-tailed iguanas also recharge their batteries. As soon as they've warmed up, breakfast. Fruit that has fallen onto the jungle floor. In between them, anoles, much smaller species of lizard, take advantage of the rays that filter through the foliage. But there are also snakes in the undergrowth. The eyelash viper stays curled up in the same place for several days. Its stillness is its best weapon. It remains so immobile, apparently petrified, that it goes utterly unnoticed. Once again, its strategy has brought it success. Or perhaps not. The anole comes to just in time to engage its excellent reflexes and fight back. The viper, still sleepy from the cool of the night, was not able to inject all its paralyzing venom into its victim, with unexpected results. Miraculously, the little anolis lizard escapes. Here in the gigantic Caribbean region, there are beaches, patches of jungle, coral reefs, and also mangroves. This particular type of woodland habitat covers a large area of the coast, as it can easily tolerate the heightened salinity of the estuaries. These coastal mangrove forests are a buffer of vegetation between land and sea, where life thrives. The maze of twisted roots absorbs nutrients directly from the water. An impenetrable labyrinth, the mangrove serves as a refuge for a huge variety of birds and fish. American flamingos are the most conspicuous of the mangrove's inhabitants. Flamingos tend to prefer open, shallow water lagoons. Millions upon millions of tiny crustaceans, the flamingo's favorite food, live here in these saline arteries. Each bird consumes hundreds of these little animals a day. Apart from nourishing them, the crustaceans are the source of the reddish carotenoids that give the flamingo its distinctive pink tone. And it's another characteristic feature of the flamingo that allows it to feed on these creatures. Its strange curved beak acts as a filter through which its powerful tongue pumps the nutrient-rich water. Males blessed with a more intense color, which denotes both good nutrition and good health, are more attractive to females. The communal life of flamingos, generally affable, turns somewhat conflictive when hormones are on the ebb, and altercations, fortunately never fatal, may occur. These temporary displays of aggression are beyond the imagining of another unique character of the Caribbean, one of the flamingo's neighbors, whose realm is on the other side of the water. The vast majority of North American manatees live within the Caribbean region, giving them their other name, the West Indian manatee. The mangroves, rivers and coasts of the Caribbean are the home of this gentle giant. Manatees lead a calm life. As food, the Caribbean supplies them with up to 60 different types of plant, from algae to the leaves of the mangrove. This exclusively herbivorous diet, their size and pacific nature have earned them another name: sea cows. Adult manatees weigh almost half a ton and have a digestive system long enough to process huge amounts of vegetable matter. Their thick whiskers are sensitive to touch and even to the movements of the water, and so act as navigation aids. They help these aquatic grazers both move and locate their seabed salads in muddy water. Manatees spend most of their time feeding in calm waters. They need to eat about 50 kilos of plant material every day. The life of a sea cow is peaceful and frugal. They have no natural predators, only humans, who both hunt them and alter their natural habitats. Despite their apparent ponderousness, manatees are graceful, easy swimmers. Thanks to this agility, a calf will not leave its mother's side for the first 2 years of its life, feeding all the while on her nutritious milk, obtained from mammary nipples located behind its forelimbs. While swimming alongside their mothers, the young learn how to look for food and shelter in the Caribbean waters. Manatees' bodies are covered with algae, which benefit from nutrients and light by hitching a ride on their underwater mobile home. This aquatic garden also attracts other animals, such as butterfly fish, which feed on the algae. Thanks to this symbiotic relationship, the manatees are kept clean and the fish are provided with a free and relatively effortless meal. The waters that supply the Caribbean do not only come from mighty rivers or tropical storms. There aren't many rivers on the Mexican coast. The rain that accumulates in the Caribbean waters the Yucatan jungles and then disappears, swallowed by the earth. The water here dissolves the limestone rocks and forms underground rivers. For thousands of years, the Caribbean has been the source of water that has eroded innumerable caves and sinkholes. Some of these gigantic cavities produced cenotes, open-air lagoons within the jungle. Although entirely natural in origin, these places seem lifted out of fairy tales. Perfect turquoise waters, labyrinthine galleries, and enormous chambers adorned with countless stalactites and stalagmites. But far from imaginary, they are the ideal habitat and feeding place for an infinity of animal species. The caves and cenotes are a world apart within the Caribbean. Many of their inhabitants are mysterious and as yet undiscovered. But others, such as motmot or clockbirds, have been important features of indigenous cultures for many generations. The Mayans believed that the pendular movement of the motmot's tail attracted mosquitoes, which are very abundant in cenotes. And the cenotes and caves here hold even more powerful and unsuspected secrets. One only needs to wait until the sun begins to set. A murmur begins to rise from inside the earth. The faint flapping of wings, high-pitched, almost inaudible shrieks are the prologue to a spectacle of massive proportions. Some caves near the Caribbean Sea are home to millions of bats that come to life in an instant. At first, only a few, perhaps the hungriest, emerge after their daytime slumbers. But within a few minutes, the earth spews forth millions of creatures at full speed. Spirals and clouds of bats that congregate, then disperse through the surrounding jungle. The variety of Caribbean bats is astounding. The Caribbean region of Central America has the largest number of bat genera on the planet and more than 170 species. Bats play a fundamental role in the ecology of the Caribbean. They consume tons of insects every night, pollinate thousands of flowers, and disperse the seeds of the jungle. Without bats, the rainforests all around the planet would be lesser places. The dark, humid homes of the bats, the thousands of caves scattered throughout the region, are ultimately a result of the unending Caribbean storms. All around the Caribbean coastline are scattered an infinite number of gulfs, bays, and coves. And it's here that a coati is looking for any surprises that the Caribbean Sea might have left on the fine white sand of the beach. Coati are the true treasure hunters of the Caribbean. They seek out the remains of castaways. Their powerful noses guide them to any animal defeated by the tides or fruits thrown up by the waves. The multitude of crabs that hide in the idyllic sand can't be ignored either. The Caribbean restocks the beach daily as if it were an open-air, Arcadian supermarket. With a little skill and patience, abandoned treasures can be unearthed. The Caribbean Sea, with its humidity, its storms, and its warmth, exerts a powerful influence on the dry land found within its confines. The moisture and heat alone causes an explosion of life that translates into some of the richest ecosystems on Earth. The diversity of birds here is an example of this bounty. Among the more than 600 species of birds that hover, flutter, and dive around the Caribbean, parrots, with their incessant screaming, are possibly the most conspicuous. Parrots, which are especially adapted to warm tropical ecosystems, are intelligent birds. Most parrots know how to exploit the enormous wealth of fruits that the jungle offers. That said, in this extraordinary part of the world, there's always room for surprises. It seems that some parrots have evolved into hunters. Scientists have discovered that some species of jungle parrots augment their plant-based diet with proteins of animal origin, especially that of insects. This pair of birds lays siege to a termite mound to force its occupants out into the open. While they try to rebuild their home, the birds eat to their heart's content. But the parrots are barely amateurs among the Caribbean's very numerous hunters. Among the hunters of the Caribbean are some of the most poisonous animals on the planet. Coral snakes, bright, colorful and rapid. They hide on the jungle floor and wait until another snake crosses their path. A lightning-fast movement, and its cousin is injected with deadly venom. But consuming the other snake is a huge effort. The prey is as long as the hunter, but the effort is worth it. This meal will sustain the coral snake for several months. Close by, just a few meters from the beach, there are other corals, just as bright, colorful and suggestive. These bring life from the belly of the Caribbean Sea. The Caribbean region is a unique place on Earth. It possesses a diversity and a wealth of wildlife that begins in the depths and extends over a gigantic portion of the wildest part of America. The influence of its life-giving waters and encouraging, caressing waves reaching far beyond the sea itself.